I don't do no meeting.
I'm from Detroit right now. I'm right here, right now. Phone right down, right now. I'm going on back internet.
I'll show you I ain't doing it for the internet.
Because you ain't gonna do it. Because you're not gonna do it. You're not gonna
come be with. See again.
We can go all back right. We can go all back right now. I'm with it.
I bet you won't say that.
So ever since that confrontation that Anton Daniels had with Corey Holcomb on the Corey Holcomb 5150 show, he's been, man, relishing in the moment. Like, he's been going all around social media, talking to anybody and everybody who will listen. You know, and it's been sort of divided. You have like a lot of the black conservatives on this side. You know, they're riding with him. They're taking his side. It's just a whole bunch of it's a whole bunch of foolishness, right? And we all know that this guy is just listen, he's a guy that likes to talk down on the black community. He's a guy that likes to use W supremacy talking points, right? He likes to use these W supremacist talking points, right? Because they give him butter biscuits and they put him in position. Now, he was on here all day exposing the system, talking about the system. He wouldn't have no following. Those of us that was up here exposing the pharmaceutical companies, those that was up here exposing what goes on in the behind the scenes and those churches, that what the government does, and going in on that W man and his antics around the world, he would have channels taken down. He would have everything. But because everybody from Charlie Kirk until he met his demise to these black conservatives, everybody piles in on the black community and talks about the black culture, right? Everybody does it. It's become very profitable, right? So, he's linking up with all kinds of people. But once it was done, he was going on shows talking like this.
That's not me being tough. I'm not tough. I'm not none of that.
Let me be very clear. I want to be very, very clear. I want you to hear it from me directly. I would have beat Corey.
Free media says, thank you for standing tall for black conservative men. Oh, yeah, they think they think that just because we Republican and we conservative that we
Corey would have got beat out of me.
Let me tell you something. Every last one of these, if they ever want to do something in person, I'm pulling up. I told that on the phone before I even pulled up. I said, bro, I know you're going to come at me weird, but just know you're going to get the same energy. I told him straight up on the phone. So that's why I bullied that on his own platform, a ass comedian. I bullied that.
So this guy, he promotes himself as like this Christian conservative, right? But at the same time, he walks around always in vanity, showing all his goods that he's supposed to have, embarrassing his wife. He does a whole bunch of foolish stuff. And like I said, he did all this stuff is for show. He did that whether he was going to win in this situation. It was a win-win situation for him because he can go in there, he can behave the way he was behaving and then come out and do all this. Or if Corey would have got mad and punched him, see, because y'all got to listen to me. Let's listen to the OG. Let me give y'all some game, right? Because a lot of times you guys be entertained, but you miss the point. When he made the statement that I'm doing all this for black conservatives because they think that we soft, they think that we punks. Once Corey would have punched him in the face, he still would have won because of the point he just made. So it was already a win-win. He went in already knowing what he can do because he knew that if the big thug from Chicago pounce on me and beat me up, then yeah, look, we're not like those blacks. We're trying to be better. We're trying to have a higher standard. And every time we can't intermingle with these blacks because look at what happened once Corey would have did that. But now that he punked them, he can come out and also say that, see, they think that we punks. They think that we suckers, and we ain't. We from the same place they from. So it was a lose-lose situation. You're not fooling me. See, if I was on there, he definitely wouldn't have came and did that to me, but I wouldn't have responded that way. Because the way I think, where I come from, I understand consequences of actions and the things that I've been through. So I would have laughed at it and said, that's what we doing? That's what we doing. Right? I would have handled it different. But now he's linked up with the ultimate sellout. The ultimate, I'm talking about the ultimate guy, Jason Whitlock. Man, listen. Jason Whitlock is a troll. He's trolling the whole situation. So he links up with Jason Whitlock and it go like this.
You describe him getting up out of his chair, switching chairs, trying to physically intimidate you and threaten you. And then he folded up just real quick. And I got to be honest with you, it kind of shocked me to see him fold that quick.
It didn't shock me because what people may not have been able to see is that he was shaking. Like he was shaking like a stripper, like trying to hold the mic shaking. And you can probably see it if you actually kind of look at it and zoom in. He was scared. And it was a defense mechanism. And so, when we were having a conversation, he was outwitted because I started talking a lot more intellectual about local voting and how that affects communities. And I know that he don't vote. I started talking about culture and the transatlantic slave trade, and he tried to box me in by saying, "But you black," and I said, "No, I'm a Christian first. I actually believe in Jesus." And so all of this type of conversation was going way over his head. And so what he would do is he would try to change the subject real fast and then go to another point, go to another point, and we couldn't stay on anything because he kept moving the goalposts as a defense mechanism as to not get embarrassed on his platform. And then, as expected, he threw an insult and said that I like to kiss, pardon my French, white people's ass, white men's ass. To which I then responded with the same energy, well, you like to suck black people's D, right? Now, some people would say, well, Anton, you took it too far, right? And you can make an argument for that, sure. But I also understood who I was talking to and how far he takes it on a regular basis. And I see him disrespecting people, and he had just disrespected me. And the lesson there is you can't control how people respond when they disrespect you. You see what I'm saying? So I could have been a bigger person, but I decided not to on that platform because I seen weakness in him. And I also wanted to expose him because he thinks he's a bully and he picks and chooses his targets, which I told him that also.
Let me send a message and a disclaimer out to some of you black conservatives. Don't you dare try to do what you just saw Anton Daniels do, because it ain't going to end well for you. Don't do that. Now, first of all, Anton Daniels is a fraud. He's a fraud. He says that he's not black, he's Christian first. First of all, none of these people. You know what? That first of all, you know what's funny? Because these conservatives, these W conservatives, none of them talk like that. They're W first, and then they have Christian values, right? But this idiot is talking about something, he not black, he Christian first, but yet still echoing the sentiments that they use. Have you ever noticed they never ever talk about any positivity in the black community? Anything black culture is just horrible. There's thousands and millions and millions and millions of black people that get up and go to work every day, that produce great things, that do good stuff. They never ever ever talk about those kind of black people. They never show black kids in HBCUs and young black boys and girls graduating from high school with high grades and going off to college and producing. They never show this kind of stuff, right? That's why we created Urban Nerds, because we try to highlight those things. How come they never do it? Whenever they're talking about black people, it's always the underbelly, the 10% of black people, right? That every group has their challenges within their ethnic group. They only talk about that, right? They claim that they are the decent part of the black society, the Whitlocks and them. How come they never show their people, the black people on their side? They never show it, right? But he wasn't done.
I told him that the people around him are yes men, and they just tell him what he want to hear. And he doesn't have any real friends, and that's why he continues to alienate people. And so I was very candid and matter of fact, and I didn't pull any punches, and I told him exactly what he was. And once I seen that it was escalating more, and then he started calling me out of my name again, I think that the intelligent thing to do at that point, because I had already made my point, was just to go ahead and walk away.
Yeah, I thought him folding up when you offered him the chance, hey, let's turn these cameras off and find out who we really are. Because people with cameras, they perform.
And I told him that too.
Yeah.
I told him, I said, you're doing this for the internet.
Yes. Yeah. The cameras make everybody. And you know, obviously I picked a side here, but I'm just being objective. Hey, let's turn these cameras off and then we can get to the real truth. Yeah. And he had no interest in that. Because anybody is tough. You know, everybody can bark loud, and it's not even about winning or losing. And I don't consider myself a tough guy.
I corporate America, software engineer. I'm a father, married 21 years. I don't have any children out of wedlock. I am, I go to church. So, I understand that people may not necessarily like the way that I say things because the truth is uncomfortable. And I'm open to the possibility that I'm wrong. But at the same time, I also understood who I was talking to and how disrespectful he is. And so I wanted to see just how disrespectful he can get and if he was able to back it up.
This is the hypocrisy about black conservatives. Now, he said that he'd been married for over 20 something years, don't have children out of wedlock. Well, I could say then the same thing. Only thing is, I had 2 children when I was young. When I was young, but I was married. I've been married for 25 years. I raised my son that you guys always see. I got a program. I work with inner city youth to a black woman for 25 years. Right? I strive every day to be the best version of myself. I'm very conscious of the way that I carry myself. And I also on my channels tried for many years to highlight black marriage, black love, black everything. The people wasn't really paying attention to it, right? So now what you guys is, all you do show is highlight black controversy and black trash, and then try to say that the culture is trash. Our culture isn't trash. It's funny, you said you were a software engineer. How come you don't highlight the black software engineers and all the black people, that black entrepreneurs that's in that business? How come you don't show that part? All you talk about is the underbelly of black culture. Why, Anton? And then Jason, don't get me started on Jason Whitlock. He get over there with them W folks, and all he do is talk down to black folks. As if we don't do nothing positive. But again, they wasn't done.
Here was the other thing I found interesting, why I find this important. This was important. And I know it was ghetto, and I know it was profane, and all of that. But someone had to go into that arena and take on that mentality.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's important because that mentality, the mentality that he promotes,
I'm sorry, Jason.
the mentality, we temporarily, I think his camera changed angles or whatever, but someone had to take on that prison mentality. This is a 57-year-old man, Corey Holcomb, that has a clear-cut prison mentality and prison mindset, and that's pervasive all throughout black culture, and it's popular over YouTube. And someone had to go into that arena and say, man, this is all a gimmick. This is someone intellectually limited who's not nearly as tough as he thinks he is. And so there's part of me that I'm on my Christian journey where I can't be profane. I don't like to use the N-word. And so I'm rooting you on and sitting there like, man, I wish I could. I just can't do it. And there's a part of me that it used to be. Back in the day, I could have gone in there and, went word for word and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I do think what transpired and what you exposed, and I saw your post-show stream, I think, yesterday, where you were trying to encourage people and tell people, like, look, man, these people ain't what you think. They're not as tough as you think. They're intellectually limited, and they're taking you straight to hell.
Yep. I don't think that any of these people, what we do in our community, and we don't have any real heroes for the culture, right? And I'm not saying that because my hero is Jesus, right? So I look at it from a completely different lens. Regardless of where I am in my journey, the person that I pedestalize, and the word is the word. It doesn't change. It has never changed. So I have a blueprint for what I think success should look like. But we don't have any real examples as far as what we champion in the culture. And that's why I say that the culture is trash. We don't have any real people that we look up to. So we look up to comedians. We look up to athletes. We look up to rappers. We look up to actors. We look up to all of these people.
First of all, he said that his hero is Jesus, and we don't have no real examples in the culture. And this is how I know that he's fraudulent. We have a whole lot of people in the culture. We have a whole lot of black men and black fathers. Right? There's a lot of black fathers who champion Jesus, that are doing the right thing, that are heroes in the black community. Oh, but he won't never mention them or talk about them because there's no money involved. Nobody's going to pay attention to that. See, this is the fraudulent part. I'm going to say it again. There are thousands and hundreds of thousands of black men in the black community that are believers in Christ like him, that are family men, that champion for family, that champion for Christ. He won't highlight or show them. He won't talk about them. We have a lot of black leadership in the black community, right? We don't just have, the culture isn't just trash. You only focus on the trash part because you know that that's what the W man wants you to focus on. That's what's profitable. That's why your channel is what it is. Black controversy sells, right? When I came over here, watch this. The main reason why I do this kind of content now, because my hardcore followers know for 8 years I was online talking about the uplifting of black people, which I still do in my content. But I had to come over here to the trash section, the gossip section, and put the message in the bottle. So I put the same message over here, but I went from 4,000 subs to over 50,000 subs because I got a broad, wider audience, but I'm still doing the work because I'm still having the same conversation and uplifting my people and not trashing my people. I'm not doing that. My content ain't based off of that. So when people click on my stuff, when they hear me speak, I'm still speaking the same way I was on my George Making 1 and George Making 2 channels. Right, yeah, my George Making 1, George Making 2 channels, I'm still speaking the same way. I just had to go into the gossip trash because I know that that's where a lot of our people on social media, that's where the mindset is. But when you go down south, you go to the Midwest and different places, you have millions of black people that get up and go to work every day, that are decent, hard-working black people, that's family-oriented, that bust they behind every day to make sure that their children are on the right path. There's thousands of children in college right now. They're not in prison. Everybody black don't have a prison mentality. There's more black people that don't have a prison mentality that do, but they only highlight this. And this is the thing. These are the black men, the Whitlocks and the Anton Daniels that say that they're purveyors of Christ, right? And they're the good black folk. How come your content doesn't reflect of showing these good black folks across America where maybe it can start to permeate in the minds of black people? Maybe if your content was a reflection of what you say you are, other black people would want to emulate it. How come you don't show it? Because you know that you don't live the life that you claim you do. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. For all you black conservatives, if you say that you have Christ and conservative values, and you are a content creator, how come your content doesn't reflect the life that you say you live, so that way it can be a reflection on maybe those that's caught in the middle that don't know which way they're going. Maybe they can see you and they can start emulating it. How come you never show the positive part of black people? Huh? How come? How come I can go on the Anton Daniels channel? I don't see none of this stuff he's talking about. But I can see him flaunting jewelry and flaunting a certain lifestyle, right? I can see him doing that. I can see Jason Whitlock backbiting and talking down to people all the time, while at the same time saying he's a Christian. I can see him doing that, but I don't ever see him highlighting anything positive that black people do. So nobody pays these charlatans any mind, man. Like I said, it was a lose-lose situation for Corey, because based off of what Anton said, he said, I did this for basically black conservatives and black MAGA, black conservatives, to show we ain't no punk. So if Corey would have punched him, he'd have said, yeah, see, this intellectual prison thug mentality, look what he did to me. But now when I stand up to him, see, they not who they say they are, they punks. So it was a win-win situation for you. A dude like me, I seen that from the door. I seen it from the door. But y'all let me know what y'all think. If you made it this far in the video, hit that like button, subscribe to Street Media TV. Leave your comments in the comment section. Remember, I love y'all. Till the next time. Peace.